Hey everyone, this is Rangadad, not financial advice, just the way I'm looking at the market. Uh, Interesting candle it seems to be putting in today for Bitcoin. And very weird session in the US last night. Don't know. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, it was a flutter in the overall market in general. So it wasn't just crypto. Although the rest of the market kind of went up a little bit slower and then tanked. And crypto has since bounced. So let's have a look and try and unpack what's actually going on there. Whether it's a fake out, whether it's a squeeze, stop hunt, whatever you want to call it. We'll see if we can figure it out. So back to this one. Bullish smart money indicators still to the upside. That on the daily, that's not going to be able to predict you any short-term pullbacks or anything like that. So all that really does is confirm that, yeah, we've still got a fair bit of momentum to the upside. We haven't actually had a buy signal yet, which is interesting. Quite often this will give a buy signal when at the start of a decent run, like these ones here. So that's a little concerning, but we'll see. Stochastic momentum still to the upside, obviously, and I think that's going to be a big part of my bullishness over the next little while with increasing BBWP. That's pretty good setup. It is at the moment a blue vector candle. Now that typically means there's about 150% of the trading going on compared to the last 10 candles, whereas the green or the red are 200% or more. So the purple and the blue are 150% or more. So it tends to be, yes, there's still some volume, but it's slowing down. Now, quite often these can be topping signals or bottoming signals, just because you've got essentially, the market makers, the big guys, they were buying in at these levels and they're selling into you at these levels. Blue's not really what we want to finish on here. If we break through this value area high here, then I think it'll probably turn green anyway. But particularly if we close the candle above this wick, then game on. If we don't, if we stay around here or even come back a little bit more, it's not great, but it's not the end of the world either. So I think a while back we were running scenarios. We were talking about a scenario where it sort of breaks out, retests this, come back down, and then tries again. And then potentially, when it does try again, coming back up to these levels and pulling back again into potentially this level here, or even into this level. So, I think this one's going to be a choppier breakout than previous breakouts. And the main reason being is Wall Street's involved now. So those guys like to take profit when it's on the table. But, from these sort of run-ups, it was them buying in the anticipation of stimulus, in the anticipation of the ETFs and things. So that was really when Wall Street seemed to become interested. So yeah, I wouldn't really necessarily expect just complete breakout upside continuation. Like these sort of runs, at least not until we clear key levels. Something more like this is possible. The other thing is a lot of people are expecting a like October proper breakout. The market doesn't necessarily like everyone thinking the same thing, or it might. It just likes doing the opposite. So you just be wary of that too. There could be a lot of fake outs, a lot of deeper pullbacks than what you would expect to try and suck in more bears, get more short liquidity into to take out. So that's just something to keep in mind, I think. Could be a bit of a choppier ride to the upside compared to some of them. Bitcoin's an asset class comparable to gold. Yeah, shit. Gonna see all sorts of news articles and stuff come out. So have a quick look at Nasdaq on the daily. That's looking like a pretty nasty close there. Not super bearish, but I think this could be a bit of a lead into something happening. So positive money flows. So that's what's happened. ASML's earnings haven't been great. Interesting move for Google for their data centers going nuclear. Yeah, earnings season is going to be choppy by the look of it. I mean, the queues are mainly driven by tech, which is kind of the chip stocks are really governing the narrative there. So, yeah, Nvidia's come down after the ASML news, which bring that back into this, retest this level, and then move away potentially. I mean, this could go sideways and down into earnings and then just rocket to the upside. That'd be a pretty interesting pocket for Nvidia to be in around earnings. Tesla's a bit flat. Straight back down to that 200 EMA, which it has bounced off before, so might have a little bit of a hangover after that 1010 event. See what happens. So Nvidia's driving this downside, I think, by the look of it, more than most. Apple's actually up on the day. SMCI is actually up slightly. That's interesting. I would have thought it'd be affected more by the ASML. News. All right. I don't think this one's going to play out, to be honest. We'll leave those levels on there, but I think that was a worst case scenario we were drawing on anyway. So, yeah, SPY's still holding up pretty well, really, given Nvidia's down so much. The futures aren't actually down as bad. They're still within the previous day's candle. So I think this is just one of those things you get on some of these moves up. Expect a couple of down days here and there. IWM still looking reasonably strong. Obviously not as affected by the ASML news. XLI coming back a little bit, probably on the oil figures, to be honest. If oil, oh no, oil's come back, so that should be, yeah. Let's have a quick look at oil. I'm going to jump around a bit today. Oil will be interesting. It's gone quite deep into that region, which is general, I guess regular stock traders would call that the golden pocket between the 786 and the 618. So it has reached into there. I'm eyeing off this W pattern still. That is still very much in play, but probably need to see a bounce soon. And BBWP is just starting to drop, which typically is sort of a mean reversion indication. So, but it's still high. So expect a bit of volatility, but bringing us back up into the 200 EMA would be very much doable, and then we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, not willing to call this a breakdown yet. Could be some shenanigans to do with election and stuff as well. Typically, you do see a low oil price coming into elections. At least at the Bowser, not necessarily markets. Gold still hasn't broken above that previous day's wick. So yeah, it's a strong day, but momentum's to the upside. Maybe we do get to that 27K. Sorry, 2700. I guess there's not much targets for it until it gets back down into here, even into 24.4 to the downside. So, look, I mean, I haven't, as I said previously, I haven't sold any of my gold out of my retirement account. I'll be holding that up until at least 3,000. Silver, decent day. Copper was interesting. So could just be a bit of a liquidity run here. I mean, the stock market did have a down day as well, so we'll see if it bounces from this level. See how we go. It's probably not a bad buying level. If you're bullish on the stock market in general. Yeah, you might want to wait until this breaks back above the minus 40 level though. US 2 years flat, 10 years. Oh, 10 years coming down. Yeah. High yield junk has not dropped with the market. That's probably a good indicator that this is just a bit of a blip. There, TLT, good bounce there on TLT. That's probably more of a bounce than I would have expected today. Could be a bit of a flight for some hedge funds. And came down. Japan was reasonably positive early in the day, and it's just come down with the during the US session. HSI, another down day. This is why I was talking about dead cat bounces. It's this region here is the better region, right? Could bounce quite early off the top of this peak, but ideally, I think setting buys, if you're trading this, setting buys somewhere towards the bottom of this, I think is probably going to be the better option. We're just waiting for a proper turnaround. Probably a reset of the stochastic momentum and a break back above this level. Okay, jumping around a bit. VIX, a bit of a spike. Nothing really right home about. DJI, I'd call that flat, to be honest. Typically, that can be quite a bearish kind of candle. Open above and close below. We haven't closed below that wick yet, but yeah, close your below about 42,640 could lead to more downside. What's back in play here is DJI versus gold. Obviously, pretty bad day for that one, given gold spiked and DJI came back. So have a quick look. XLY, XLP came back with the market, but still nothing drastic. Regional banking is relatively strong. I think the banks have been pretty good on their earnings so far. Home construction, I mean, that's fairly strong still. Again, it's all sort of pointing towards a bit of a blip on the US market, not necessarily a major pullback or anything yet. The skew, I'll just have a quick look at the skew. It is coming down a little bit, but again, we're not getting this big crush of the skew. We're getting more like bigger drops. I'd be a bit more worried. That's a decent drop, but I wouldn't call this a strong signal that we're going particularly bearish anytime soon. Aussie dollar US is coming down. Target's still the 200 EMA by the look of this, which means what's the Dixie doing? Dixie's still pushing the 200. Looks like it wants to break above, which will be interesting if it comes in to that. Excuse me. Yeah, it comes into the 1039. Could be interesting for other currencies. I mean, that would bring the Aussie down, you would think. But Euro, I think's pretty interesting that it's coming down to the SMA level. So there's a simple moving average on the 200 that comes in where that circle is. Yeah, we'll see. I think they're reporting on economic center. I think there's a rate decision. Yeah, so there's a rate decision tomorrow night, my time, about a day and a half. That could cause a bit of movement in the markets. Fairly big market there. I think that may actually lead to a turnaround in the euro versus US. That's probably going to be the catalyst for a bounce. Interesting that it's coming into this vector candle here too. So maybe another day of down. Reclaim at least half this vector candle and see how we go from there. But Brazilian struggling, Japanese yen struggling, but finding a little bit of support off that 0.5 level on the fib. See what happens. All right. We'll get back into crypto. We've got a read on these yet. ASX 200 going pretty strong, just eking its way up though. Nothing super special, but BBWP is increasing just as we got into the bullish control zone. Last time that happened was sort of around here. And yeah, we'd had a little bit of a pullback on that same sort of candle after a bit of a run up, and then we shot up a few percent from there. Yeah, 3.65%, and then after a little reset, it hit 4.2, but 3.5% here. Get us up. I think 8,500 is probably a decent target for ASX 200. Bitcoin longs, yeah, still nothing to write home about. Showing signs of a bigger drop in that number today, but nothing. Honestly, I'm not expecting a huge drop. I'm not going to wait around for that before thinking this thing's going up again. This might help us find the bottom if it does pull back a little. Shorts have increased a little bit. So that means the shorters are starting to come into the bucket a little bit more. It'll be interesting to see if they get wiped out. BTC dominance, that's a big spike. BTC dominance, when was it this level last? March 2021, eh? That was after BTC's run up, when all the alts were running hard. Forward to that time again. Oh, he's had a bit of a pullback into the 50 EMA, which isn't bad. It's recovered this vector candle here too, effectively. Not bad levels that it's been hitting here. So let's see what the next upside is still most likely at the moment by the look of this. So, yeah, I mean, we're closing above this downward channel, top side of this channel. We've been faked out of this before, so beware of that, but never on a vector candle to the upside. So still looking quite good for Bitcoin, even with a bit of a blip in the general stock market. Have a quick look at the shorter time frames. Pretty reasonable entries on here, but I don't think it's not a great strategy overall. This is one of the ones I'm kind of working on at the moment. Try and get it working properly. We look closer to breaking the bear trend above the bull trend for the DMI, and it looks like a decent reset on the DMI as well. So anything below 20, if we're turning the upside from below that, tends to be a pretty good signal. You got to be careful though. Obviously, that was a bit of a fake out signal to the downside. But yeah, you don't always have to pull back to 20 either. Although that was a pretty good signal there, obviously. It did come back below 20. So it looks like we might finally get the bearish pullback, or a pullback anyway. It's hard though because we haven't really broken below these Bollinger Bands at all with any sort of conviction. Yesterday's pullback was decent, but surprised a little bit that it didn't follow through. So this shit here, this heartbeat, is pretty ridiculous. I still haven't found out what caused that. I mean, that was market. That market open? Just after market open, I think. I don't know what time the fucking market opens in the US these days. Actually, I do have something that'll tell me somewhere. Where is it? Oh. Apparently I don't have it. Oh, there it is. The US market. That's the lead up to the US market. Actually, that was the US market open there. Yeah, it was. That was open. Yeah. That's the crossover. The Brinks box is the crossover between the UK and the US market. So yeah, I don't know what freaked that out, but certainly did freak it out. Would have been some serious liquidations in that lot there. Just have a quick look at the liquidation levels. So it's shaping up to be a flat day on the Australian and even potentially the Asian markets. Yeah, pretty similar liquidity above and below. Obviously, you've got a fair chunk down here at 65K. That's a potential target. Just go to BTC in general. Yeah, fairly strong across the board around 65. Go back out to the month and see what we got left there. Yeah, wow, we just wiped that out, didn't we? So Bybit had already taken this level a couple of days ago on the wick, but this was seemingly Binance having its crack at that level as well. As we said yesterday, that seems strange that they didn't take it at the same time. So yeah, look, tough one at this level to call. Obviously, we've still got this staring at us. 500 million. That's way above everything else that's been on the charts at a particular level. I mean, two levels there, you got the same amount, but that'll be interesting. Still a fair bit to take to the downside, but hard, man. As I said yesterday, it's hard to call downside, call shorts. You're better off just taking. Well, I'm going to be just taking profits on longs and avoiding shorts. Saying that, I actually closed out of my big short. Just took a hit on that, and I will take them on the daily when I know I'm going to be able to watch it and react. Will not be leaving any overnight, and I'll be taking profit quite quickly. This. So This isn't really giving us a huge read at the moment, suggesting there's still people buying all the way up here. There wasn't a big change in open interest during this blip. But it certainly did fill a lot of short orders, a lot of liquidity off the table. So, yeah, still a fair bit above if it wants to go for it. See what happens. Actually, that's shaping up. It kind of looks like a bottoming, but I have to wait and see. So it's not a strong signal there. Pretty strong signal that was the top, but that's just a ridiculous candle formation there. Go. This is a lot more balanced now on the daily, at least. And people that were going 100x short after that massive run up, that's freaking balls there. Obviously doing that on the shorter time frames. 30-day liquidity, there's a lot to the downside. This is Binance, obviously, across exchanges, 30 days. I mean, liquidity doesn't always drive price action. It just gives you good targets for, or gives me good targets for levels of take profit, stuff like that. It does, I guess, play into my bias for direction a little bit because the market wants to go where people are prepared to transact. Yeah. $2 billion by the time you get down to 63. At 61 and a half, it's still a big level. Only 4.5 billion in liquidations to get down to that level. I don't see it really ripping to that level at all. Yeah, typically when you do have a big imbalance like this, it does go to one side, it goes to the bigger side. All right, I think that'll do for today. Looks okay. Everything's fairly bearish at the moment. 66K might provide a bit of support based on this, but that turned out to be a pretty good signal on the CCE indicator. Yeah, definitely be taking a bit of profit off the table if you're still in longs. All right.